EcoSend lists and subscription preferences is a wonderful feature, giving your recipients flexibility and choice for which types of communication they would like to receive from you, and it helps to reduce your overall unsubscribe rate by giving users different communication options. So let's dive in to show you how to build your first lists. So in EcoSend, head to Current Project, Contacts, and let's build out our lists. I'm going to build out 3 lists for this demo. The first is our newsletter. And we want this to be a visible list because we want users to be able to choose to receive the newsletter, alternatively to not receive the newsletter and receive information from our other lists. So let's have this as EcoSend newsletter, subscribe for our weekly updates. And for our second list, we'll have event announcements. And again, we'll have this as visible and we'll say EcoSend event announcements, events and webinars. Now for my third list, I want to keep this as a hidden list because this is an internal list. This is a list for internal use only, helping to differentiate between members and non-members and send information to our paying subscribers. And we'll keep that one as hidden. Lovely, so that's created our list, and we can see under contacts we've got newsletter, event announcements and member. Now there's many flexible ways we can bring users into these lists. We can do this via CSV import, we could do this directly via an EcoSend form. So let's start getting started with bringing in some contacts and adding them into lists. So here's my Excel spreadsheet of data and all of my contacts who I want in the first instance to bring in onto my newsletter list, but I've also got data for paid members, differentiating between paid and non-paid members, as well as users who have or have not attended our recent Earth Day event, because we want to be using that information in order to segment them into our event and member lists in EcoSend later on. So let's start with downloading that as a CSV file and head back into EcoSend to import these contacts onto into our database and straight onto our newsletter list. So back in EcoSend, let's hit import contacts and bring in that list. So make sure the properties add up. Our ID goes onto ID, name onto name, email onto email. We'll be creating a new custom property for members as well as a new custom property for users who have attended our recent event. Now, because I want to subscribe all of these contacts onto my newsletter, in this drop-down option here, I'm going to make sure that these contacts are all added to our newsletter list, and let's start that data import. Great, so as you can see, users are now starting to populate both into our all contacts list as well as straight into our newsletter list. So while that churns away, let's start segmenting some additional users into smart groups and then show how you can update from a smart group into a list. So if I add the filter member, paid member is yes. So if, for example, I had a pre-existing group of users who I brought into EcoSend previously via CSV, but I hadn't added into a list, I can simply head into the smart group. So in this case, the member list, the member smart group, head to Actions, Add to List, and add all of the users in this smart group into the member list. As you can see there, we now have users populating into the subscribed to member list. So we have users now in our newsletter list, our member list, and we can do the exact same thing for event announcements simply by adding the filter attended Earth Day is yes, and let's move those users into the event announcement list. So we've now seen how to upload contacts directly from CSV file into a list, how to add users from a smart group or by using a custom property into a list. And we'll now show how to add users into a list using EcoSend Forms. So if we head to EcoSend Forms down here, so within my EcoSend Forms area, I have my newsletter form here, which is available on my website for users to sign up to here. But I want to make sure that any users who sign up to this list automatically get added into our weekly newsletter. So in order to do that, all I need to do is update a setting in Advanced Options, click down to Add Submission to Lists, and select all submissions from this EcoSend form to head into my newsletter list. And I'll save and update that. So now if I process a submission to my list, ecosend.io, this will now send straight into my newsletter list. So back into EcoSend, we should see that form submission coming in shortly. There it is. And it's come in, obviously, into our contacts. It's come into the newsletter form smart group, but crucially it has also entered into our newsletter list, making sure that anyone who subscribes to our newsletter form automatically gets updated to the list and will be sent our newsletter when we send it every week. So now let's give an example for how to add the ability for users to manage their preferences and select between which visible lists they would like to subscribe to within your emails. But before we do that, let's just add myself as a contact and show as well how we can add users from the add manual contact into a list by selecting add to list newsletter. Because I want to send a test just to myself. Great, so that's me created, and I'll just search for myself within the database, send.io. And now I can click to send broadcast, and let's update the broadcast to allow the users, upon receiving the email, to be able to select which lists they would like to subscribe to. Now we'd obviously build out a much more aesthetic email than I'm going to now, but just for the purposes of this demonstration, putting in a very ugly quick email together. But crucially to demo, in the email footer down here, by default we have to have the unsubscribe link, evidently, so users have the option to unsubscribe. But to give users a second option, which is really crucial to helping to reduce your unsubscribe rate, by offering an alternative to unsubscribing, which is to manage email preferences. So let's add that in here. Manage preferences. So we're just going to hyperlink the area manage your preferences and create special links, subscription preferences. So this adds the coding. So when users click into the manage your preferences URL link, they'll be taken to the subscription preference center, from which they'll be able to select to subscribe between any of the available or visibly available lists we've created. So let's click save, and let's go through and send this email out to myself so that I can show the subscription preference center. Great, so that's sent. Let's jump into my inbox and show how to manage the preferences. So within my inbox here, I've received the very ugly demo email, but crucially I can now click to manage my preferences from the link here, which is taking me to decide which of the visible lists published I want to receive. So I'm currently subscribed to the newsletter based on how we added my profile originally, but I could switch this to hear from EcoSend announcements and not the newsletter. So I'll click to update my preferences. And now let's head back to EcoSend to show how this is reflected in the profile view in EcoSend. So back in EcoSend, bringing up my profile here, I can see from the drop-down that I'm currently subscribed to the event announcements list as per my preference in the subscription preference center. You can also review any other users and review, for example, that Tracy is subscribed to the newsletter list based on that drop-down. So I hope that's been a helpful demonstration showing you how to create lists, how to add users to the lists by manual creation, by CSV, from smart groups, and directly from an EcoSend form, as well as how to add the update preferences option within your EcoSend broadcasts in order to give users the option to click through to the subscription preference center and update their preferences as an alternative to unsubscribing. I hope you found this demonstration helpful. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to us at hello@ecosend.io. Thanks very much.